Hello po mga kababayan, si Dante Maravillas. Ito yung update mga kababayan sa pambobomba ng Amerika sa tatlong nuclear facilities ng Iran. Yung Israel, nag-react na rin po. Sabi ni Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, US strike on Iran will change history. Nagpaabot siya ng congratulations kay President Trump. Sabi niya, congratulations President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. Sabi po ni Netanyahu. Adding that the attacks demonstrated America has been truly unsurpassed. Netanyahu added that Trump had created a pivot of history that will help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. Unsurpassed daw ang military might. Wala pang tatalo. Yan ang binigyan ng emphasis ng Israel. Actually, ganun din yung sinabi ni Donald Trump sa kanyang address to the nation after na isagawa mga kababayan yung military strike, air strike sa tatlong nuclear facilities ng Iran. Ngayon, pakinggan natin si Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu po.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
Ito yung kaninang message ni Donald Trump. Address to the nation.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yan, mula sa White House mismo, mga kababayan. President Trump delivers address to the nation June 21, 2025. Ngayon, siyempre, tuwang-tuwa yung mga mamamayan ng Israel. Pakinggan natin itong report. Sabi rito, historic night, the Israelis are ecstatic. Tuwang-tuwa sila. Celebration. Nag-celebrate yung mga Israelis dahil sa ginawang airstrike sa nuclear facilities ng Iran na ginawa po ng Amerika. Pakinggan natin yung report ng Fox News. Ngayon lang po ito. Yung pinaka-latest po, 8 minutes ago. Dali lang po.
I did have a conversation when you were breaking news live right here on Fox. I got some details as, again, you got on the air immediately, and the fact we had initially discussed at length and in great detail the issue of maybe 2 bunker buster bombs being needed for this Fordo facility. It ends up 6. It ends up that
6 yung ginamit, imbis na 2.
75% of the other 2 nuclear sites that they had been attacking on a regular basis, and Tomahawk missiles, the president reporting tonight, they were totally, all 3 of them, obliterated. Incredible news. There's history tonight here.
Yeah, Sean, it's a historic night. It is, we'll see what the battle damage assessment is on the ground from Iran, but the Israelis are ecstatic. You saw that in the Prime Minister's statement saying that this is a pivot point, he believes, for the Middle East. The fact that there were 6 bunker buster bombs from those B-2s, 30 Tomahawk missiles from the U.S. submarines,
6 na bunker buster
the Isfahan
bombs.
site, the Natanz site, and Fordo. We talk a lot about Fordo being the most protected, and that's where a lot of those bunker busters were focused. But the Isfahan site, believe it or not, is also really deep, I'm told from experts who have been looking at it for years, and that's where they stored the highly enriched uranium. I think there's going to be a real question about what goes forward, what happens next. I've been in contact with some of our allies, leaders in the region and other countries in the region, and one said this to me: Iran will have to respond. They have to save face. Their capabilities have been degraded, but they're not impotent. That's important to realize, that while the president is saying that this is a tremendous success and he believes they have been completely obliterated, the history will show that the Iran leadership will not go down without swinging. What that swing
Brett,
looks like,
I can add some
you've seen the
color to
missiles.
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
No one could argue, I think, by any objective measure that this phase of this operation was a complete success.
Pag gumanti yung Iran po, wala pang announcement yung Iranian Supreme Leader. Pag gumanti, may banta si Trump babalikan sila. At baka yung unang sinabi ni Trump na kinontra, yung una kasi nag-suggest niyan si Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to eliminate, hindi po on the table po yung possible pag-eliminate or pagpatay mismo tulad ng mga sundalo in nuclear scientists na una nang ineliminate ng Israel. Kasama sa target po mismong si Ali Khamenei. Kaya lang kinontra muna, at least for now niya, sabi ni Trump. So baka yun ang ang mangyari. Totally, hindi lang yung nuclear facility ang i-obliterate ni Trump. Mismo na mga kababayan si Ali Khamenei. So yan ang danger. Nagbanta na po si Trump sa kanyang message kanina. Balikan natin yung developments dito sa report ng Fox News.
But there is a part two, and they did game out all of this. And as you and I both know, there have been many, many meetings where these plans have been discussed in great detail. And part two of this, though, is to protect American assets on the ground in the region. And that means people, and that means specific locations. They are prepared for any retaliation. And the president was very clear, unambiguous, in his statement again tonight to the Iranians what the consequences will be if they, in fact, try to retaliate.
Yeah, and I think that that's really important.
Pag
because in
gumanti
the region,
sila,
as you and I know, strength matters, and that's what talks.
seryoso
over
ang
there.
konsekwensya sa kanila.
Peace through strength, but strength first. And I think that that's the signal the president was sending. If any U.S. citizen, any U.S. base, any U.S. facility comes under Iranian attack, all bets are off as far as this being a limited type of strike. And you're right, they have a lot of plans going forward if that's the case. One of the questions is, what does the opposition on the ground look like? How does this all develop? That's not something that I've heard that the U.S. is really focused on. You know, regime change, while it may be tangential, is for the Iranians to decide, much like the president delivered that speech, Sean, in Saudi Arabia, which he said, we don't want you to be our image. We want you to be your own countries, but we want to do deals with you, and we want to change the face of the Middle East and how it operates.
You know, but I think you are very wise in cautioning people, and I did this all week, and remind people that there's no such thing as a military operation that does not have great risk associated with it. You know, at the end of the president's statement tonight, it was striking when he did thank God for the safety and the safe return of our troops and just being appreciative that it was successful. There's always risk associated with it. There's always risk of retaliation. But there is no doubt tonight the Iranians no longer are a nuclear power. There is no doubt we can say tonight that the world, I think you can say unequivocally, is a safer place. It doesn't mean they still don't have their ballistic missiles. It doesn't mean that they will retreat. It doesn't mean that they will unconditionally surrender. It doesn't mean that the American military's job is done. They will protect American assets, interests, and people that are in the region. That has been made very clear, and the president made clear the consequences. So they do so at their own peril. They didn't listen to President Trump the first time. Let's see if they learn something before they strike back or attempt to.
Yeah, I just am really struck by the operational security, Sean, of all of this. The fact that you know, Iran really, the intelligence said, wanted to strike Israel first, and then the president came forward and said, let's negotiate, thinking there could be a possibility for a path for negotiation. But he said 60 days. On day 61, Israel attacks first, changes the dynamic, really hits them hard, takes out the surface-to-air missiles, opens the door to the possibility. All the while, the president's saying you could get back to the negotiation table. Then he says, within 2 weeks, I'll make the decision. Well, 2 days is within 2 weeks. He wasn't lying, but it was about operational security. And when the 6 B-2 bombers go west, everybody's looking, they're covering it over there. It's look at the shiny thing. It was already in motion in the east.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I'm
You know,
struck by
but
the
you got to
operational
also
security.
say, the day after the president mentioned within 2 weeks, the next day the Iranian foreign minister came out and said, nope, no interest in negotiating. That could have accelerated the timeline, but that would only be speculation on my part.
Matigas yung ulo ng Iran, binigyan ng pagkakataon na sumurrender. Nagmatigas, hindi na inintay mga kababayan kasi sumagot na. Wala silang plano na sumurrender. Ayun, hindi na inintay yung 2 weeks, 2 days. Which is, within 2 weeks, umatake na po yung Amerika. Ngayon, pag umanti sila, dodurugin na sila siguro. Diretso na silang dudurugin. Binibigyan pa ng pagkakataon to make peace, mga kababayan. Ang liderato ng Iran. Yan ang banta ng Amerika ngayon. O, ganito yung bomba na ginamit, mga kababayan. Tawag dito, bunker buster bomb. Ito yung ginamit. 6 nito yung hinulog. Diyan, hinulog, mga kababayan. Nagkadurog-durog na siya. Yan yung eroplanong ginamit sa pagulog ng bomba. B-2 bombers ang tawag sa kanya. B-2 Spirit bomber. Yan ang itsura niya. Yan o. Yan yung ginamit po.
Moving B-2 bombers to the Pacific island of Guam as President Donald Trump weighs whether the U.S. should take part in Israel's strikes against Iran. The bomber deployment was relayed to Reuters on Saturday by 2 U.S. officials. It's unclear whether the move is tied to Middle East tensions. The B-2 can be equipped to carry America's 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator designed to destroy targets deep underground. Experts say it could be used to strike Iran's nuclear facilities, including the deeply buried site at Fordow, the crown jewel of Iran's nuclear program. The officials declined to disclose any further details.
Yan mismo
The
yung
Pentagon
ginamit
did
po.
not immediately respond to a request for comment. Israel on Saturday said it had killed a veteran Iranian commander during attacks by both sides in the more than week-long air war. Israel says Iran was on the verge of developing nuclear weapons, while Iran says its atomic program is only for peaceful purposes. Tehran said it would not negotiate over its nuclear program while under threat.
So yan yung tinarget po.